Good afternoon, you magnificent bunch of whiners and complainers. Welcome to Tiger Bay. True story from the primary. I walk into my polling place, I get my ID out, and the poll worker says, "I know who you are. You're that guy from Tiger Bay that stands up there and tries to be funny." I said, "You had me confused with former President Mark Miller." Today, we have candidates from Florida House District 9, Loranne Ausley, Jim Messer. Both of these candidates are club members, which seems to me to be a compelling reason why each of them should be disqualified immediately. Please give a warm round of applause to our moderator, Steve Mosquet, El Presidente for Life of the Capitol Bureau for the Tampa Bay Times. Let's get started. Thank you very much, folks.
Thank you. It's good to be back. And thanks for coming today. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Someone stole yours.
Well, many of you know the two candidates up here with me, but I'll briefly make introductions of both. Loranne Ausley is a sixth-generation Floridian. You'll remember that she served in the Florida House of Representatives from 2002 to 2010 and was the Democratic candidate for State Chief Financial Officer in 2010. She has a law degree from Washington and Lee School of Law in Virginia. In fact, what an odd coincidence. We have two candidates who both have degrees from Washington and Lee. Jim Messer studied economics there before going to law school. Jim Messer grew up in Tallahassee, is a 1980 Lincoln High School graduate, and was an Army helicopter pilot, rising to the rank of captain, and got his law degree from Mercer University in '93, and is a board-certified civil trial attorney. Floor is yours.
Thank you, Steve. And thank you, and good afternoon to my fellow Tiger Bay members. What a week, it's hard to believe, it was 7 days ago when each of us sort of opened our doors to look in our yards and on our streets to see what we would find. And this week has certainly offered its fair share of frustration and suffering and anger and finger pointing. But I think it's safe to say that we've weathered the storm. And we've weathered the storm because we're a strong community. We look out for our neighbors, we care for each other, and I think we're all grateful to the men and women who have worked around the clock, from first responders to linemen, to make sure that we can return to some normalcy, at least some of us, right? So we're all fortunate to call Tallahassee home. I've had the honor of serving in this community in the legislature for 8 years, where I earned a reputation by working across the aisle as a strong voice for state employees, a champion for Florida's kids, and a legislator who got things done. I'm running because I am concerned about what I see as a broken political system. I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't believe that we could change that with more balance, with more seasoned, responsible leadership. We can fix it. And I can't sit on the sidelines without trying to be a part of the solution. Thank you.
Good morning. It's great to be here at Tiger Bay, and it's great to be back in the 21st century with electricity, or at least I thought I was until the limb came down last night and sent us back into pioneer days. It's nice to be here to be able to talk to you and to say that I'm running for the Florida House of Representatives because it's time that our district was relevant again in the legislature. That's why it's time for a change. You heard a little bit about me. I grew up here in Tallahassee, married my high school sweetheart, Laurie Strickland, married 31 years, went to college, graduated, spent 6 years in the Army. I was a helicopter pilot and operations officer, went to law school, and came back here in 1995 because I love Tallahassee and I love the school system here. Raised 3 wonderful children here in Tallahassee, and got to a point to where I decided I needed to do something about our status as citizens in this district. For the last 20 years, our representatives have been stuck in the back of the chamber, stuck on the back row. And because of that, we haven't been able to get the benefits that we so deserve in this district. Pay increases for state employees, capital dollars to move our economy, and job creation dollars to work down crime. We can't do it from the back of the chamber. We need someone who's in the majority, working for every single person in this district. I can be that person working in the majority, and that's why I'm the better candidate to be your representative in the House of Representatives.
This question is for you first, Jim Messer. Governor Rick Scott prides himself on having cut total state jobs every year he's been in office. And 2 years ago, he boasted that Florida had fewer public employees working for the state per 100,000 residents than any other state in the country. Do you share Governor Rick Scott's pride in making the state workforce as small as possible, and why?
You know, we do have the leanest state workforce in the country. We have fewer employees per capita than any other state in America. The problem with that is that we've cut fat and we've cut muscle, and now we're cutting bone. We're seeing that in our state, morale is down. We're seeing that turnover is up. And everyone knows that government isn't a growth industry, or it shouldn't be a growth industry outside of Washington, D.C. But in order to have good folks working for us, in order for us to be able to have the services that we need, we have to have employees that get paid a reasonable wage. And it has been a long time since they've seen a pay increase. Rick Scott thinks like a business person. Rick Scott's not beloved here in Tallahassee. Rick Scott will be gone in 2 years. Our state employees will still be there. We need good state employees working for us so that we can make our state run well. They deserve a pay increase. I'm going to be their champion on the floor of the House, and I'll be their champion in the majority.
So I agree. They need a pay increase. It's been 10 years. It's also, for 5 of those 10 years, they've had an extra 3% pay cut in payroll tax. It's not just a pay increase that state employees need, it's respect. And we have a Republican governor and legislature that denigrate government at every chance. That there is a hostility towards our public employees that is really perpetuated by this less government at all costs. When I was in the legislature, the state employees got a pay raise for every year up until 2004. There was a $1,000 bonus, and then in 2007 there was a $1,000 bonus, and then in 2008 we started this tide of no increase at all. Now, I'm not saying I'm responsible for the pay increase, but I do believe we had a narrative where public employees and government was more respected, and I'm proud of that. And I think that's what we need to get back to. We need to get back to this whole conversation about the role of government and how important the job that public employees do is to our community and to our state.
Jim Messer, give us one specific example of where you as a Republican disagree with your party's establishment views on an issue and where your philosophy is more in line with that of the Democratic Party.
You know, one of the things that I think about as a Republican, and when I get elected as a Republican and being in the majority, is that I am a Republican, but I'm not only defined by the Republican Party. What defines me first and foremost is being a citizen of Tallahassee, being a citizen of this district. And the Republican Party historically has not been kind to our state employees and has cut the workforce. But we've gotten to a point now where the workforce isn't as efficient as it was before. That's a distinction that I have with the Republican Party that's there now. But I also have the ability to get in that Republican Party and work with that caucus to get those benefits back, to get the respect that has been talked about for employees, and to work to get the benefits that we need. That's the difference between me and the Republican Party. But again, I define myself by the people that are in this room, by the people in this district, and know that I can represent everyone in the district, whether they're Democrats, Independents, no party affiliation, and even...
Obviously, my question to you is an example of where you as a Democrat disagree with your party's core beliefs on some issue where you're more in line with what the Republicans think.
I don't know that I can. I'm not sure. I was really going to be able to answer that other question pretty well. I think we've got to get to a point where we're less about these polarizing issues and more about the issues that are in the middle. Because the bottom line is most people are somewhere in the middle and they don't really care what party you are or where you come from. They just want you to solve their problems. So I think the places where I don't picture myself as someone who stands in the back of the chamber throwing bombs to try to get things done. It's really more about finding the common ground and where we can get things done together.
Okay. All right. The This next softball question is for you, Loranne Ausley. The Florida House is run by Republicans. Every major decision is made by Republicans, including how much money will be allocated to Leon County for its schools, roads, and Zika, and other programs. The question is a simple one and an obvious one. Since Republicans are in control, why wouldn't the people of House District 9 be better served by having a representative from the majority party?
Well, that's a good question, and but fortunately or unfortunately, I have a record. You can look at the record of my service for 8 years, and you can see that I have a proven track record of 8 years in the legislature, strong working relationships with my colleagues in the House and the Senate and the staff, which is very important. I learned the rules, I learned the intricacies of the budget, how the process works, and I found ways to get important things done for District 9 despite being in the minority. Public employees, we've already talked about those issues. A champion for children. I passed a number of bills relating to child care safety and children with disabilities. You all know we have a son, Will, who's visually impaired. Worked hard on those issues, created a children's cabinet, brought money home for Cascades, and worked with the state on disposition of state buildings. All of these as a member of the minority. I've done it before, and I can do it again.
I think we are better served by having a Republican. It's not that the Democrats are in the minority in the House of Representatives. It's that the Democrats are in a super minority in the House of Representatives. So everyone that's in this room, if you're a member of District 9, regardless of what party you're in, if you've been represented for the last 20 years by the folks that are there, you don't have any representation. You are part of the super minority. As part of the majority, I can get in the room and get things done. And I'll tell you, politicians that have a record and have been there and have been there for 8 years, there's a reason that there are term limits. Term limits provide the ability for new blood and new ideas and new ways of thinking to come in and a new opportunity for the district. I don't have a record in the Florida House of Representatives. I've never run for office before. But I do have a love for this community, and I have a passion for the district, and I can make a difference in the majority that's governing with the supermajority today.
Thank you both for your thoughtful answers and responsive answers today. We've come to the point in the proceedings for the closing statements. Jim Messer, you have the first closing statement.
For coming here to Tiger Bay and giving us the opportunity to speak to you. You know, I spent my entire life working to try and prepare myself to get to a point where I could continue to give back publicly to the people of this district. And I started off in life in service, started off serving my country for 6 years, and then I went on to law school, and since then I've worked in the community. I've been the president of a number of organizations, the Tallahassee Bar, the Tallahassee Exchange Club, the American Cancer Society, and I've served as a mentor in Leon High School. And my wife and I have had the opportunity to put together a charity that feeds at-risk children during the summer. I'm ready to go and serve in the legislature. I'm ready to go and work for all of us here so that we can have the representation that we need to have in the legislature. I'm ready to dedicate the time and go volunteer and stand on that wall for everyone that's here. And it's a great opportunity and an awesome opportunity, but it's an awesome responsibility. As I said before, I am a Republican, but I'm not defined only by being a Republican. I'm defined by the people that are here in this room, by the people that are my friends, and by the city that I grew up in. I want to represent everyone in the district, Democrat, Independent, Republican as well, and I want to go carry the flag for everyone in the room. I can do that, and that's why I'm the best choice to be your next representative.
Thank you. And you know, we all love this community that has given us so much. For me, it is about our son Will and leaving him a better Florida than I found it. I have a proven track record as someone who's an honest broker, knows how the legislature works, know how to bring people together. And at the end of the day, I think that's what people want, someone who's willing to tell it like it is, roll up their sleeves, work hard, solve problems. That's what I've done for my entire life. As a lawyer, as a community volunteer, as a legislator, as a parent. And that's what I will do again as your representative for District 9. So I humbly ask for your support and your vote in November. Thank you.
Folks, let's give a big round of applause for our moderator. She did a great job. Remember, Tiger at Bay, October 20th.